And on Tuesday, I was watching the Oriole game, minding my own business, and I got an email from Obaldo Jimenez. And I'm like, wow, this is a surprise. But he said, I remember you did this program, and I wanted to see if you still did it because I was just in Honduras and met these kids, and they need everything. They don't have, they are literally using cardboard for baseball gloves and that kind of thing. We're like, sure, we'll start putting together something for you.
That was Mary Jo Newville of the Oriole Advocates. Hello and welcome to episode 120 of the Irish Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Rick Becker. Mike Licea and Mary Jo Newville of the Oriole Advocates will be my guests on the show today. We're going to talk about their charity work and why you want to make sure to catch a ball game in Baltimore. Let's get right into our conversation. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Oh, of course. Yeah, pleasure to be here.
So first of all, let's start with the obvious first question. Who are the Oriole Advocates and what is the purpose of this organization?
Well, the Oriole Advocates were first founded in 1960. And back then, it was a group of businessmen who came together to help promote the Orioles, who were still pretty new to the city, and sell season tickets, help players find jobs in the off season. I love that. We don't do that anymore. And over the years, it has evolved to allow women to join. They founded the Junior Oriole program back in the day, which I was a Junior Oriole 1,000 years ago. They donated a fair amount of money to help get the Babe Ruth Museum built. Used to have floats and parades, and it was, I think, on the Oriole Advocate float that the Oriole bird was hatched many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Lots and lots of things. Now, where we've evolved to is that we're a group of volunteers. The thing most people, if they know of us at all, they know us for handing out the giveaways on giveaway day. Our secret password is medium or extra large whenever we have shirts to give out. And we do volunteer work. We have the Cardboard to Leather program, which Mike was chairman of for many years. Mike, why don't you talk about that?
So yeah, Mary Jo kind of touched on our history and kind of evolving to today. And we do the giveaways. But then one of the other things we also do is we do charity stuff. And so the two things that we do that we focus on charity-wise is Challenger Baseball, which I'll talk about in a second, and then also Cardboard to Leather. And what Cardboard to Leather is it's a program where we take used baseball equipment and we take it and give it to kids that need it. So the kids that maybe have the means for a baseball field but don't have the means to buy equipment or don't have means to walk down to the sporting goods store to purchase equipment. And so we collect somewhere between 30 and 40,000 pieces of baseball equipment just in the Baltimore area. It's pretty remarkable. And we'll ship it to different places all around the world and also locally as well too. So last shipment, we're about to do a shipment to Kenya coming up here in the next couple of months. But we've done shipments in the past. In the last 10 years, we've done shipments to Aruba, Nicaragua twice, Puerto Rico. We've done shipments to Hungary and other little shipments here and there all around the world. So that's the Cardboard to Leather. And then the other program that we do is Challenger Baseball, where we put on I guess what you would call it a kind of like a festival day for children with physical challenges as well as some mental challenges as well too. And we put on this event where the bird comes in and we have food for all their family members, and then the leagues will have like a baseball game, and then they'll meet the bird and have hot dogs. So that's Challenger Baseball. So those are the two events that we do for charity. Challenger Baseball, we do probably 15 to 20 events every single year. And we've been doing that for the last 15 years. In Cardboard Leather, we've been doing that for about the last 25 years and giving out equipment all around the world. So that's the long story of our organization from the history, what Mary Jo just said, to what we're doing today.
So when it comes to cardboard to leather, you mentioned a bunch of other countries, Kenya, shipping things all over the world. Do you also try to provide equipment for local teams and try to make sure that we're continuing to grow the game here? Because obviously, like our organization, we have a lot of camps and we do a lot of things in Ireland, but it's also important to make sure that we're growing the game here in the States because we're all passionate about it. But as we get older, as we move out of fandom, we have to make sure that there's a new group of kids who are ready to take up that fandom if we want this sport that we love so much to continue to grow.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Rick, you're totally right. We actually do give baseball equipment locally. We've done several distributions in the Baltimore City. We've done distributions in Prince George's County. So all around Maryland, we've done distributions. So we're always looking for different opportunities locally and also internationally for us to help out kids that really want to play baseball, but don't have the right equipment to play.
Yeah. And one of the things we're able to do is when people donate to us, they often donate golf clubs and tennis rackets and, things like that, which we take to play it against sports and trade in for baseball equipment. And then depending on the needs and where they are, sometimes that's what we do, fundraising, and we'll buy new equipment to be able to give to kids. And uniforms and bases and whatever it is they need, we try to help with that. It's an interesting thing. And now a lot of people who were with the Baltimore Orioles, especially, people from Central America, are aware of what we do and they contact us. We're getting a shipment ready. I think after Africa, Benny Ayala has one go. I forget where it's going, but there's one
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. Okay, one being put together for him. And on Tuesday, I was watching the Oriole game, minding my own business, and I got an email from Obaldo Jimenez, and I'm like, wow, this is a surprise. But he said, I remember you did this program, and I wanted to see if you still did it because I was just in Honduras and met these kids, and they need everything. They don't have, they are literally using cardboard for baseball gloves and that kind of thing. We're like, sure, we'll start putting together something for you. So it's really
and
cool.
that is that part of the story is I forgot to mention is that the idea came from an article that was written in the Baltimore Sun in the 80s, where a reporter went to I'm not exactly sure which country it was, but they were using cardboard like boxes molded around their hands as baseball gloves. So and I've seen where they've used pieces of slate for bases. I mean, stuff like that is just extremely dangerous, and it's not really nice to play with. So the idea behind our program and the name comes from switching those cardboard gloves to leather gloves. So cardboard to leather.
Excellent. I wanted to mention something that Mary Jo brought up a little early in our conversation, and I kind of let it pass, but I wanted to get back to it. And that is the Babe Ruth birthplace and museum, which is just a few blocks. I mean, it is a quick walk from Oriole Park at Camden Yards. And I think that the fact that the city, the community, baseball fans have gone to such great lengths to make sure that this was preserved, because Babe Ruth is such an important part of the story of the game that we all love. When we talk about passing it on to the next generations, one of those stories is Babe Ruth. None of us got to see him play. We all know about him because of the stories that we were told from the people who loved baseball in our lives before us. So how important is it to have that connection to Babe Ruth, who, of course, if anybody doesn't know, was born and raised in Baltimore?
It's great. It's great. And when he was young, he was placed at St. Mary's Industrial School for Boys, which in later years became Cardinal Gibbons High School, where my brothers both went. And that's in Baltimore near St. Agnes Hospital, if people don't know. And it was there that he, a brother or a priest that was there taught him baseball, and that became something he was really interested in, and made it his career. And having that connection, being a part of helping to restore the buildings there where he was born and have it now be a museum is terrific. And we continue a relationship with them. We meet once a month, 10 months of the year. We take a break over the holidays. And one time a year, we meet at the Babe Ruth Museum. They have a little courtyard next door, and we meet there, and it's great. And then when we go, we can go and, take a quick peek inside the museum and stuff, and it's great. And I know we do support them, help them with their events and fundraisers and that kind of thing. So it's terrific because it's all about baseball, and like you say, promoting it, getting people to know. And oftentimes when people come through the gates, especially if they're wearing the opposing team's jersey, we'll say, is this your first time here? And yeah, we'll say, well, go to the blue umbrella and get a first time button. And where Babe Ruth was born is just 2 blocks that way. You can go see, before you leave town, make sure you go and check it out. So I think they do I think they said most of their visitors are out of town that come, on a baseball trip, and that's part of it. So that's just terrific.
One thing I also want to add is that the reason why we have such a close relationship is that in the 80s, the house was actually slated to be demolished, because right now if you guys are familiar with that area, there's a BG&E like transition, or like a property that have all their power stuff there. And they were planning on making it bigger into the neighborhood, and they were going to tear down Babe Ruth's birthplace. But the Oriole Advocates came and they helped out the Babe Ruth Museum, and they fundraised and got enough funds to stop the building of the BG&E, the power plant transition station, or whatever you want to call it, right across the street. So it was slated to be demolished, but and we teamed up with the museum and we saved it. So
absolutely, that is amazing. And this is the Irish Baseball Podcast, and I don't know if a lot of people who are listening understand how much great Irish history there is in downtown Baltimore, also within walking distance of Camden Yards. So we're talking about the Irish Railroad Workers Museum, and then what is it, the B&O Railroad Museum, just in general. All of those things are within walking distance, depending on how much you walk in a day, of Oriole Park at Camden Yards. And if you want to, I'm going to sell your team and a game day experience just for a couple minutes.
Do it.
Because as somebody who has gone to a lot of games at Oriole Park at Camden Yards, very convenient if you're coming up from the Washington area, if you're coming down from Pennsylvania, to stop at a light rail stop and go right into downtown by the Inner Harbor. You get dropped off right by the ballpark, and you have a lot of stuff that is right there. So you can get there like 9 o'clock in the morning on a game day, and you can go to the aquarium, or you can go to the Railroad Museum, or you can go to the Guinness plant. You might need an Uber to do that, but you can do all of these things and then come back so that you're getting there at 6 o'clock, 6:30 for a 7:05 start.
Mm-hmm. And Rick, I know this isn't a requirement to be on your podcast, but I'll say my grandfather's grandparents immigrated from Ireland during the potato famine. Maurice Neville and Catherine Welsh. They met in Baltimore, but they both came over. My grandfather worked for the railroad, B&O, and my dad and my dad worked for the railroad for a while, but 2 of his brothers made a career working for B&O. And Camden Station was where they left from and returned to for World War II. They went to Camden Station and took the train down to Fort Meade. And then when they returned, that's the way they came back. So yeah, we Baltimoreans all have a little connected history there.
No, that is a great story, and I love to hear it. It's one of my favorite things about doing this podcast for the past 4.5 years is everybody has that story, even if you don't know it by their last name. I
Mhm.
was actually a funny story. John Fitzgerald, who is the president of the organization, he is the founder. When I was talking about doing this podcast, I was like, well, do you want me to use my last name from the Irish side of the family? And he said, no. He's like, I want to stress the fact that just because somebody has a last name that doesn't sound Irish doesn't mean that they're not just as Irish as anybody else. So
Mhm.
bring your German last name and talk about Irish baseball.
That's right.
So the 250th anniversary of the United States is coming up, and another thing that is pretty close to Oriole Park at Camden Yards is the location of where Francis Scott Key wrote the Star Spangled Banner. So all of these things are so accessible. It's one of the reasons that I love, we can talk about Camden Yards, and we will in a few minutes, and why that's such a great place to see a game. But it's not just the venue itself. It's that they put it at the exact perfect spot.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, they did. And Star Spangled Banner, Fort McHenry. It's why we yell "Oh" at the games. People coming from out of town, "Oh, what is that?" And when you tell them what the connection is, and they're like, "Oh, that's really cool." But yeah, it's just so awesome. I love being a Baltimorean and love being Irish.
So let's say somebody is listening to this podcast and they're like, all right, I've got either, my kids aren't playing anymore, their equipment's in pretty good shape, and they want to make a donation. How would somebody go about donating actual equipment to Oriole Advocates?
Mike,
Yeah.
like go on the
Yeah. So
webpage.
if yes, so you could actually go to our website, orioleadvocates.org, and our fill out the contact information there, your contact information there, and we'll get in touch with you. We can probably make arrangements if there's driving distance away from Baltimore to get equipment, or make some sort of other arrangements, shipping it or something like that to us. And then what we do is we get all the equipment and then we ship it in a big container to whatever location we want to benefit, or like, to Kenya, for example, that's coming up. So yeah, so that's the way. You could also look us up on Facebook.
But we do have advocates who live in Hartford County, Baltimore City, Howard
Yeah.
County, Eastern Shore, Southern Maryland. So pretty much we're able to go to somebody's home when they clean out the garage and pick the
Yeah.
equipment up and take it in. And then when we have a warehouse that we rent, and we store the equipment there. And then we have pack days where we go through all the boxes and all the bags that we've picked up at people's houses and who have, brought to Camden Yards. And we do the same thing at Bowie and on the Eastern Shore at Salisbury, Shorebirds. We do collections there. And then we try to organize it. We have boxes for bats and boxes for, and you count how many go in there. And so it's all organized for customs to get it out of the country. And then we use baseball uniforms too. If anybody has old baseball pants or whatever. And sometimes we'll have little leagues that give us a bunch of stuff that all matches. But even if it doesn't, if kids all, get 15 orange shirts, even though they all might say something different, they're all orange. They look like a team, that's something that they've never had before, or all blue shirts or all blue hats or, whatever it is. So we spend many Saturdays down at our warehouse organizing and packing and counting and whatnot. And then when we have enough, then the shipment goes out.
Yeah. So even if you're listening to this and you're not in the Baltimore area and you're like, I'm not going to the ball game, and I have equipment and I want to ship it off, and you're like, well, that could be $50 to ship it. This seems kind of silly. I'll just donate money to the organization. We're actually a 501c3 organization, so you could donate through our website as well. So that also benefits, because even though getting equipment's great, what also is beneficial to our organization is like money donations, because we still have to have money to get the equipment to the children that need it anywhere around the world.
Yeah.
So that costs a little bit as well.
And the other thing that I forgot this, the other thing that we do is we provide scholarships to kids at the Baltimore County community colleges who are baseball players, and also scholarship money to Mount St. Joseph High School. One of our members, who was a member early on and is still a member, I think he joined in 1970, Don, but he's 94 years old now, still a member of our organization, and he graduated from Mount St. Joe. So in his honor, we do a scholarship at Mount St. Joe every year for tuition's not cheap for a kid that's a baseball player. That's another one of the things we do.
So would you say that for these drop-off experiences to just check your website periodically, and it'll say if you're going to be in, Aberdeen or Eastern Shore,
right.
or...
And we've got another collection at Camden Yards on August 24th. So yeah, that'll be on our page. It'll where we also put it on the social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, whatever they all are. We put it on
so
there
make sure that you're following Oriole Advocates. That's the most important part. And then you'll be able to see anytime that they are doing one of these events. And it's such an important thing. Like I said, like growing the game with the next generation is so important. But what do you find for the people who volunteer? What do you think they get out of it? How much do you think it either keeps them involved in the game, it forces them to, just remember what it's like? Like sometimes you're like, oh, I'd like to go to 10, 15 games this year, but maybe you wouldn't if you don't have this connection to the organization, and it keeps you more active in your community. Do you think that you're doing just as much for yourselves and for the other volunteers as you are sometimes for the kids who are getting the stuff?
Absolutely. I mean, to me, it's just a lot of fun. And sometimes it's not as much fun when it's either pouring down rain and you're handing out things, or when it's 95 degrees, as it was yesterday and will be this weekend. But it's, to me, I love being at the ballpark, smelling the hot dogs, seeing the people come in with their crazy outfits, seeing the little kids. And now the Orioles are changed the way they do things, and we give out the giveaways to everybody. You don't have to be 15 and over. So giving the little kids bobbleheads, when we did bobbleheads earlier this year, we had parents that were actually videoing us handing the kid the bobblehead and how excited they were, So all of that's part of it, just being there for me, just being there. And remembering going to Memorial Stadium when I was a kid and being a junior Oriole and winning a prize. I have a junior Oriole necklace that Mike can tell you I wear every game.
He does. She does.
I do. All those memories and just being there with everybody and meeting people that you would not ever have met probably otherwise. I've got several people have become, my nearest and dearest friends, and we never would have crossed paths if we hadn't joined the Advocates. It's people from all walks of life, all around the Baltimore metropolitan area. It's really a lot of fun. Right?
Yeah, and something I'll add, Mary Jo, is that when it comes to our charity stuff, like I've been on trips twice to Nicaragua, once to Dominican Republic, another time to Aruba, and giving a kid, their first baseball glove and seeing the excitement of, the glow on their face right when I give it to them, or their baseballs, and these kids are just so excited to get anything that looks official, compared to what they're using is just, passed down by through generations. And just see that excitement in their face is just, it's priceless. And even locally, whenever we do Challenger baseball events, just seeing the looks on their faces when they get to see the bird and get to have the big picnic that we have in the event. And it's just so exciting for them. And just seeing that interaction and seeing that that energy, it's something that I really can't describe in words. It's pretty amazing.
Okay, so as we start to wind down this interview, I had 2 questions that I want to ask to each of you. I'll start with Mary Jo.
Uh-oh.
I want to know, first, your favorite superstar Oriole of all time. But then I also want to know, who's that player who maybe wasn't a multi-time all-star, but somebody that just really connected with your heart over the years, that like underappreciated player. So I want to know your favorite superstar Oriole, and I want to know your favorite underappreciated Oriole.
I'd say, well, obviously there are a lot of superstar Orioles to pick from, but I probably have to say Eddie Murray. And underappreciated Oriole, I'll go more currently and say Dean Kramer.
Okay. All right. I like those. So, Mike, same question.
All right. Probably have to go with Cal Ripken. I mean, you know, I think I was kind of complacent about, like, I'm not from Baltimore originally. I've been here for 20 years in Baltimore, but so I wasn't around when he broke the streak. But now, since he's become an owner and he's been like really big in the media and like back in the stadium all the time, he's really an awesome influence on the team. So I like that. And then unsung hero, I would go with Benny Ayala. And the reason why is because Benny Ayala was I think an infielder for the Baltimore Orioles in the 80s. And he actually just texted me a couple days ago. Hey, we need baseball equipment in Puerto Rico. We've shipped about, I want to say like 5 or 6 containers of equipment to Puerto Rico. And he has been such a instrumental part of our distribution to Puerto Rico. If it wasn't for Benny Ayala, then we wouldn't have had as much impact on Puerto Rico as we have. So I say Benny Ayala and then also Cal Ripken Jr. So there we go.
And I have a little pet cause because I feel personally that Frank Robinson is the most underrated player in the history of Major League Baseball.
Yes, I agree with that.
Everybody knows that Frank Robinson is a Hall of Famer, but I don't think they realize he's right up there with Aaron and Mantle and Mays. Like, he's at that level of player.
Absolutely.
And I think the fact that so many people got to see him as a manager for so many years kind of made him just seem like he was just another guy who was around the game for a long time, because Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle didn't do that after their careers. So I think that one of the things when I'm talking to Orioles fans is I always like to talk about Frank Robinson, because when you talk about those names that you want to keep, those legacies that you want to make sure that everybody is appreciating, he is definitely really at the top of the list. So why don't you pump the website one more time so everybody knows? Wait. Oh,
Rick, what about your unsung?
Okay, hero? What is my unsung Oriole? Okay, I'll tell you what. I live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And after he played for the Orioles, Ryan Miner, he played for the Lancaster Barnstormers at the time here of the Independent Atlantic League. And it was one of my favorite trivia questions because Ryan Miner was actually the player who was put in at third base the first day that Cal Ripken did not,
and they
start
right. They said when they told him he was playing third base, he said, "Does Cal know?" Yes, Cal knows.
So it was a really fun little piece of trivia that we had the guy who replaced Cal Ripken. His career obviously didn't go quite as well, but most of them don't. So
he made it a big show. He made it a show.
Hey, and
Yep.
not a lot do. So why don't you pump
That's
the
right.
website again? Because I really want to make sure that anybody who wants to donate, whether it's money or whether it's actual equipment, or if you're in the Baltimore area and it's time, if you want to make a donation, how can people get a hold of you?
The website is www.orioleadvocates.org, and you can contact us there. And we are Oriole Advocates on most social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky. I don't know, all manner of them. So you could also send us a message through that if you want, and we'd be happy to talk to you. Come collect your equipment, whatever it is. That would be awesome. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. Thank you for all that you do, because that's why we do this. We want to pass the game on, and nobody is doing more to make sure that happens than your organization. So I really appreciate it.
Terrific. Thanks, Rick.
Yeah, thanks, Rick.
I'm your host, Rick Becker, and this has been episode 120 of the Irish Baseball Podcast.